Distracted driving. Driving while engaged in any activity that could divert a person's attention away from the primary task of driving. This is also already a law in the Philippines, like the Public Act 10913 or the Anti-Distracted Driver Act. And what are those? Make or receive calls, compose and read text messages while driving, perform calculations, play games, watch videos, browse the internet. Okay, so you're using your cell phone, and there are also objects in front of you on the dashboard that's blocking your vision, things like that. So this is already a law. This is like 5,000, 10,000 and 15,000 penalties, or 20,000 penalties if you are violating this, because this is already a law, and they already have this is already implemented. So there are three types of distraction, like the cognitive. This is in the mind. You're not you're not focused. You're not you're thinking of other things in your mind while driving. You're not focused. This is cognitive. This is in terms of your mind, in terms of your brain. Okay, it's not, your brain is not working on your driving, but your brain is working on other, thinking of other things. The mind is thinking of your problems, thinking of your stress, thinking of your situation in the office. Like that is cognitive. Your mind is somewhere else, not in your driving. Okay, then the visual, you don't see much because there are obstruction in the dashboard, for example, or you lose your focus on the road because you take off your eyes off the road. You look at your cell phone because your cell phone is receiving some text, or you're receiving some calls. So you take off your eyes off the road, and that would be visual distraction. A manual distraction is your hands. Your hands, you have to be, your hands should be on the steering wheel, 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, left hand 2 o'clock, right hand 10 o'clock. Okay, all the time. Only when you are shifting the gear, you remove your hand. If you're not shifting the gear because you're driving an automatic car, then your hands should be always on. Or maybe you're operating the four-way flasher, or operating the windshield wiper, or the something else with regards to operating the vehicle. So that would be manual. So you should learn to keep your hands off doing some other things like cell phone or other things. Okay. So that would be cognitive, visual, and manual types of distraction. So let's talk again about driving hazards, how you avoid it. You implement the DDC formula, the defensive driving course formula. We always do this when you're doing training or seminar for DDC. Number one is recognize hazards. This is the habit, the usual habit that we're implementing when we're doing a seminar on defensive driving course. Now, recognize hazards. There are already hazards in front of you. Like, for example, a ball rolling. That would be a hazard. Why? Because one child or children are crossing the street, chasing the ball rolling on the street. And then you recognize the hazard. You see on the side street that the one car is already, the engine is already running. How do you recognize that? You see the exhaust pipe is emitting smoke. There is a smoke emission. So you know already that the engine is running. And anytime the that car would be backing out on the street. So you have to anticipate that That would be recognizing the hazard. You see already a warning signs. It says dangerous bend ahead. So you recognize already. You have to slow down already because there is already a warning sign that says dangerous bend or a falling rocks. Or there's a falling rocks on your left side. Or anytime the rocks will fall. Okay, that's why there's a warning signs that says that. So you recognize that hazard. There's a rain, pouring rain. Suddenly it rains. Okay, so or is hailing or snowing, and you recognize that this hazard. It means you have to slow down. You have to be prepared. You have to have more focus because there is an impending hazard in front of you. Then understand the defense. What are the defense? Slow down. Number one defense, slow down. Be focused. Do not do manual distraction or you know, or the other distraction. So understand the defense. You put your vehicle to the low gear. Okay. Because when you are on the high gear, or when you are freewheeling or you're coasting, you call that coasting when you're freewheeling. Then maybe the brake will not will not work. Okay, or you're going to have a burned brake shoes or brake pads, and the brakes will not be effective anymore. So you have to understand the defense. Act correctly and timely. What would be, you have a long stopping distance, then you have to recognize early. Okay, anticipate early the hazard, and then act correctly and timely, and then put the gears in the low gear. Let's say, for example, you have a 6-gear trucks. Oh, you're on the 6th gear, or you're on high gear or low gear, or rather high gear. Then you put it in the low gear, or maybe on the 4th gear, on the 3rd gear, on the 2nd gear, and then etc. Okay, and that would be RUA: recognize hazards, understand the defense accurately and timely. That would be the DDC formula. DDC collision prevention formula: recognize the hazard. Scanning, you have to scan, or don't lose focus on the road, or don't you put your eyes off the road. Past, present, future. Look in the past, look in the present and future. Use what if strategy. What if the car suddenly appear in front of you? What if a pedestrian appear in front of you? What if the car will skid? What if there will be suddenly there will be speed bumps in front? What if a roll will be rolling in front? What if an animal crosses your path? So use the what if strategy. So what if that car does not stop? Well, what will I do? What would be your DDC formula? RUA: recognize the hazard, understand the defense, act accordingly, right? Understand the defense, know what to do to avoid the hazard, know the consequences of your choices, know the defense, and scanning. You have to scan all the time. When you are focused in front of you, there is what you call peripheral vision. When you are focused too much longitudinally, you don't actually see the one in the side. That's why you have to scan. Okay, because you don't know suddenly children will cross the street, animals will cross the street. You don't know that if you're not scanning. Okay, slowing down is one of the technique. Safe following distance. Okay, we'll be talking more about that later. Then act correctly in time, so that you'll have a shorter stopping distance. Be alert, pay attention to driving. Concentrate on hazards. Okay, driver actions you witness. Okay, there are so many actions with other motorists that you have noticed. Okay, or you have witnessed, like eating, drinking meal while driving, reading. I've seen that many times. When I'm driving, especially when guys are doing an automatic, cruise, auto cruise, you know, when you are driving on a speedway, or the freeway or the expressway, on a street road, uh, no hazards at all, either side of the road or far ahead. There's no hazard. Okay, you're driving coast to coast, maybe 500 kilometers distance, 1,000 kilometers distance. So some portion of that you will use the auto cruise because you are in the urban, rural areas, deserted areas, for example. So you put to auto cruise, okay? Then, and then putting the auto cruise, then you are reading the cell phone, reading newspaper, reading magazine. And I've seen that many times. That is happening. That is true. And speeding, of course, tailgating on cell phone, stopping, passing right, okay. Passing right is not allowed. Maybe, but on a multiple road lanes, maybe you can do that. But most of the time, you're not allowed to pass on the right. You have to pass on the left. So passing techniques, fail to yield. You're not yielding to pedestrians. You're not yielding to other drivers, and they have the right of way, but you're not yielding to them. Like for example, you are entering the roundabouts. You have to yield to drivers already inside the roundabouts, so you have to yield. Driving aggressively, sleeping, okay. So do not try to, try to maintain your, your minds, that to be awake, but you are already experienced drowsiness. So you have to park safe parking area, then get some sleep. At least 30 minutes is already a good sleep. Then you can go back driving again on the road. The signal kept on. Okay, this will confuse other drivers if your signal is still on. Okay, when you are, for example, you are changing lanes, shifting lanes. Okay, after shifting the lanes, your signal is still on. Then the drivers, following you will be confused whether you're still going, you're still shifting lanes, or you're what. So this will confuse everyone. Did not use signal. You just shift lane, or do a right turn without using your signal. Poor vehicle condition, too fast for condition.